I don't know. I'm gonna already give you an idea of what my answer is going to be to the title of this video, because I genuinely do think this is a topic that isn't so far to the left or so far to the right where I have one strong opinion on something. I really don't know. But I mean, obviously I do, because that's why I'm making a video about it, and that's why I'm gonna be talking to you about it. But when we talk about minors in the art community, I hate saying that, like kids, teenagers, it's a topic that I've seen kind of like regrace the internet. It's obviously been a topic that has just been around forever, since the beginning of the more media space art community, but like I've seen it regurge more and more and more and more and more, and right now it is such a popular topic due to a lot of drama that is going on now that I will not be mentioning, so just gonna get that off the bat. Like, but a lot of things that are going on that are becoming more prevalent in the art community, that is becoming more of a topic of, are minors even allowed to be here? Like, are they good for the community? Like, is this a problem that we need to address? Which, yes, I do believe it's a problem that we need to address, but it's not a problem necessarily. Again, like, we'll get into this video. But yo, what's up? I'm Jay. Minors in the art community is a topic that has been coming up a lot more recently, but I don't understand why, because when we look at the kind of beginnings of the internet in general, the internet has always been a safe space, a safe haven, if you will, for rowdy teenagers to live and thrive and be themselves. It's honestly been a community for the past handful of decades that the art community has been around, since the internet forums that people used to post fan art on, or we look at the Newgrounds art community or the Deviant art community. Those have always like had a good chunk of kids being just crazy on it, or a good chunk of kids just being on it in general. But I do think it's become more of a glaring issue that has been talked about more due to the significance of apps like TikTok and Instagram getting more popular with the art community. Because if you look at the history of TikTok in general, TikTok, not until COVID hit was it ever meant for having like an art community space. Because in 2019, TikTok was a dancing app, and then 2020 COVID hit, which was more of like people just kind of making skits and turning it to almost like a Vine-esque. And then not until 2021 is where like the alt art style came around in popularity, and people started picking up tutorials on art, and people started posting their art on TikTok. And until like a good late 2021 till now has the art community been thriving on TikTok. And when we look at the kind of population of TikTok, and now due to the fact that it is one of the biggest art communities out there in the media space, I actually think it's like the biggest one, not gonna lie, knowing how many people are on TikTok. TikTok is fit for teenagers. Being one of the biggest art communities, you have a really huge space of, you know, teenagers being in the audience. It is a glaring issue, I would say, for a lot of adults in the art community, because at the end of the day, I understand to an extent of having adult spaces. I do definitely think that that is a need. You definitely need to separate like adults and kids when they're in the same space. I didn't clarify it, but I kind of want to make my statement a little more clear when I said that. Since TikTok is like one of the biggest art spaces, like one of the biggest art community areas, TikTok doesn't have like a very much adult age barrier and a kid age barrier. Think of, you know, apps like YouTube. When you look at it, there's YouTube Kids. Then once you're 13 or older, you go to regular YouTube. And then once you're, you know, 18, you get to view more things on YouTube. And then when you look at Twitter and you look at, yes, you can be 13 and be on Twitter, but in order to view most of the stuff that's on that app, you have to be 18 or older. So there are age boundaries, and even Instagram has it where, you know, adults and kids are separated to an extent. When you look at an app like TikTok, which doesn't have that type of barrier, and since it is the largest art community, it should be more for other apps. And that's just kind of another issue that I think I'll talk about later. So just, you know, it's just something I wanted to add on. The art community, I personally do not have a problem at all with teenagers being in the art community. Now, obviously, like Jay, we gotta answer the elephant in the room. You're a teenager yourself. Obviously, you don't have a problem with it, or else I would be the biggest hypocrite in the world. But I genuinely do not see a problem, like in general, with minors being in the art community. I personally love to see a new generation's art form. I personally love seeing other peers my age showing off their art and feeling comfortable enough to post it to the world. Looking at my art journey and seeing how long I've been in the art community, the fact that I have made so many mutuals and so many friends and had so many experiences and learned so many new things about art, it's an experience like I'll never forget. And I do think without being in the art community, I would have never learned it, or I would have learned it at a much older age, and I just probably wouldn't have preferred that. It is a safe space for other artists to gather around, especially when you look at high schools and looking at how many probably are artists and how many probably aren't, which is the majority. So it is a safe space for artists to find people like them and find mutuals like them and find people who want to share their art towards them. But I don't think the conversation is whether should minors be in the art community. I think what most are talking about is whether should minors be partaking in the more commentary portion of the art community. Let's talk about myself for a little second. I am doing commentary right now as we speak, so obviously I don't have a problem with it. There are some things, when you look at the art community, there is a very large portion of it that is drama, that is controversies, and a very large portion of commentary is on those topics. I, for one, really stray away from those things because I do not want to face any backlash, especially when it pertains to certain names. I have talked a lot on this channel about my personal problems with drama YouTubers and drama commentary when it comes to the art community, but I do hold an insane amount of respect for the good ones because a lot of them put so much effort into talking about a certain person when it comes to like making a documentary almost. But I do think it requires a lot of effort and a lot of precise decision and a lot of interviewing from other people who have experienced a certain, person or a certain group of people. When minors or like kids get into that space, I think it really blurs the line on why they should even be there, because talking about drama when you are a kid yourself, I will look at the art community, like commentary controversy area, and I'm like, I feel like I'm back in middle school. A lot of people, when they do commentary, the biggest kind of rule is to not take stuff personally and to do everything the best you can. When you are interviewing people, you have to make sure that it isn't just coming from inference or bias or your personal opinion. You have to make sure that everything is complete fact, because when you are talking about somebody, you got to make sure you're not staining their name. I do not want to do commentary due to the fact that I don't think I have that ability. I don't think I would have that ability to gather that much information about somebody. I don't think that I would feel comfortable talking about a certain somebody if it's not like in a positive light, because if I am wrong about something or I got the wrong information from somebody and I post a video, because let's just talk about the art community commentary for controversy for a second. They are the ones that get the most popular, like just drama and controversy in general are stuff that gets clicks or stuff that gets views. So looking at it, if you are wrong about something, you just sent thousands of your fans, thousands of new people who don't even know this person, or thousands of their fans to like take into consideration who they're supporting. And if you're wrong about that, that can lead to some detrimental stuff. So it kind of goes both ways on why I think minors shouldn't partake in that aspect of the art community, because looking at it, if you are wrong about a person you are talking about, sending a bunch of hate towards a kid, like if you are a teenager who's doing this stuff and you get stuff wrong, that is on you, and you will face insane backlash that I don't think a kid should even be taking responsibility for. Obviously they did it and it's a responsibility that they have to now take, but I don't think that they should ever take that chance. Also, when we talk about, if you are talking crap about a minor, which to be fair, like to bring into that topic, I do not think any commentators should be talking about kids on the internet that are like, in a documentary sense. I do think that's insanely inappropriate. And when you are like, you're talking about a 15-year-old, I highly have this rule that if somebody does something problematic and they are a teenager, tell them to get off the internet, and that's all that should take action. Yes, there should be more of like those people who just talk about it and just saying, okay, this just happened, this person just did that. Yes, obviously there needs to be some sort of information center where people can like, oh, well, this used to be my favorite artist, what happened? Talking about them in a drama sense and talking about the things that they did in just like a way to get clout and to get clicks is just highly inappropriate. So that's why I also don't think minors should be in that kind of space when they are being controversial, when they are making controversial art, because that leads to so much insane harassment that I do not think should come a child's way. Because like I myself have had instances where I've gotten backlash, and it's just for things like my art and like my art style, and it's it's affected me. It's gonna hurt. Like, dang, that kind of stung, that hurt. So I can't fathom to imagine these creators that I will see getting thousands of people against them because of something they did that is careless and is reckless. But you are still a teenager, and I do not think you should have thousands upon thousands of other people's fans coming to harass you. And also, speaking of the kind of drama side, I do think having kids on the internet, a lot of stuff is taken way more personally, like drama and aspects, and if people like even try to criticize your art style, like I for one have had to learn the harsh way of if somebody criticizes my art, I just do not respond, or you know, I maybe take it as criticism. Like, even though I didn't ask for it, if I respond in some crazy way, in some crazy demeanor that is like what a kid would do, like say like a slur, or say some crazy insane comeback, like I'm coming out of hell of a boss, like that kind of teenager talk is something that can get somebody in an insane amount of trouble, can get somebody in an insane amount of trouble. And I do think that that's also a reason why kids maybe shouldn't be in the art community. And another big one, the harassment that comes with being a kid. Even if you don't do anything wrong, just being an artist in general, you will get adults harassing you. I have had a lot of my mutuals, I myself have had this problem. I have seen just other artists who I'm not engaged with have this problem, where they are like 15, 16, 17, they are posting their art, and you know, their anatomy is really good, the rendering has this slick, bouncy like style, and then there's those comments that are like, so what's your Twitter? Oh, wait, I recognize that art style from somewhere. Oh, I know what you draw. Dropping Twitter link when like that. No, you know, like that kind of acting is just like genuinely disgusting to like talk to a kid like that. And like a lot of these artists have their ages in their bio because of the adults not wanting to clash with kids, kids not wanting to clash with adults. People have their ages in their bio. Like every time I see it, they have their age in their bio, and people will just end up harassing this artist, which I do think if you are a kid, it takes a toll. But again, I'm kind of sounding like a hypocrite because I was like, okay, you're a kid, Jay, like what the freak. But when I look at like spaces, when I look at the art community, I personally think I'm like super lucky, because I've just been like, I've had it good, but I haven't been popular. Like I'm niche, okay? Like I'm in my own little corner of the internet. I'm doing my own little thing. My TikTok has always been just like a little crowd of people. My YouTube is just being a little crowd of people, which I really enjoy. And I think that's why I haven't had that negative of an experience with the art community. But I will see a lot of these artists get into insane amounts of controversy because of the fact they got popular, or due to the fact they got popular, they will actually show their true side of like being a kid and being awkward and being weird and talking about things that they should keep to themselves, which they're putting out to the public to their like 70,000 followers. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? So when it comes to being a kid on the internet, you know, this was going to be like a short video anyway. I didn't want to talk about this for long, and it's just a topic that I wanted to, you know, touch around, kind of give my insight, because a lot of people, when they talk about kids being on the internet, they're either really like, no, adults should have their own spaces, like you guys shouldn't even be there, or no, like we're not doing anything wrong, kids should allowed to do whatever they want, which there's always like a really extreme to either side, and I do think there's just a nice middle area. At the end of the day, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with kids being on the internet and kids being in the art community. Obviously, that's why I'm here. But there has to be more boundaries when it comes to a kid, and there has to be more things that you just have to keep to yourself. Because I, for one, like to keep, you know, my home life, my personal life, you know, people who I'm even friends with, like, that's kept underground, you know? I just don't like to get close to people like that. I don't want fans to get close to me like that. I don't just want people in general to get close to me like that. So there also has to be boundaries, because there are weird people on the internet, and there is weird people in the art community. So when you are a kid, you have to have boundaries. And I do think a lot of teenagers, when they're coming into that more like 13, 14 era, they think, oh my gosh, the internet's so lovely and awesome and everybody wants to be a friend. No, they don't. The internet is a scary place, and the art community is a very weird place. And when you combine the two, a scary and weird place for a kid to be, you gotta come in with the right certainties, I guess. Which that makes me sound like a pick-me, almost like, oh yeah, I'm different, guys. Like I'm chill, which I don't want to sound like that. So I'm giving my own little 2 cents. I do think that having, you know, minors in the art community, having the newer generation show their art and feel comfortable with enjoying conversation with peers and enjoying sharing their art with people their age, and finding spaces that are nice for them to share their art, especially like fandom art, dude. I am loving One Piece fandom art right now so much. if you can't tell. I love One Piece. I love it so much. But I do think, you know, interacting with fandoms, interacting with fandom art, it's a really nice place for a kid to be and for a kid to find people like them. But also, like, don't get too close, have boundaries, do not share your personal life, do not get into any controversy media. I do think when you're more of an adult and, you know, a couple of my mutuals do that drama art commentary thing, and they are very respectful about it. They are all grown also, but like they are very respectful about people who they talk about. They are very adamant that do not harass anybody, do not go out looking for them, do not go out seeking to cause something with them. They are very adamant about controlling their fans. They are very adamant about keeping their personal boundaries, which I do think is the more mature thing to do, and I do think that's why it should be kept in adult practice. So don't get into the art drama controversy commentary. That is a really long name. I've seen a lot of even like some of my mutuals who were, you know, who are like peers my age, get into the art commentary and they just couldn't handle it. And I do think that is a really sad thing to see, and I do think that having so much about your personal life get put out there because you wanted to talk about somebody and you were wrong about a couple things, so people were like, you know what, doxed, blocked, just everything out the window. I do think a kid should never put themselves in that situation. So it is definitely like a 50-50 almost, maybe, if you're an adult, because I understand, again, I understand the need for adult spaces, but I do think when we talk about the art community on the internet, it was never an adult space to begin with. Because a lot of these adults will talk about, you know, oh, this is an adult space, like we need to keep this to ourselves. Like, when did you join the art community? Yeah, like when you were 15, dude, back on DeviantArt in 2012. I do think it's a very hypocritical sense to like talk about kids this way because now you're grown, but back then you were doing the same exact stuff. I understand it's almost like a way of protection. Like you saw how you acted, you saw how people your age acted back then, you don't want to repeat. But it's like, I do think now a lot of kids have like, you know, become a little bit more mature than the last era, and I do think they've become more aware, especially since the internet is more of a thing that's being built into our generation and the generation next. What, Gen Alpha, I think, right? I do think it's a topic, and I do think it's a concern that is definitely reasonable and definitely arguable. I understand the direction in which they're coming from, but doesn't mean it's the right direction, okay? Yeah, I really think that is all I had to say. You know, if you have a different opinion than me, please feel free to share in the comments. I do want to see other people's insight on this because I've only talked to like a handful of mutuals about this, and it's like they also have different opinions than me, or, you know, very extreme, left or right, but I do want to know where other people are coming from and if they have a certain problem, because I've seen my demographic. A lot of you guys are like older than me, so it's like, I want to know what you think. I want to know what you think. What is your opinion about kids being in the art space? And yeah, my commissions are closed. I'm still trying to learn VGen, and I don't think I'm going to open them until the summer. I have them open on TikTok, but that's because it's like a very small space right there. So opening them up on YouTube is probably something I won't necessarily do. But if you are wanting to interact with other artists, if you want to have a safe space where you can share your art, if you can share like literally whatever you do, if you want to just yap about things you like, if you just want to show, you know, traditional art, whether you do painting, whether you do sketches, whether you do pottery even, we have spaces for that in our server, or whether you do digital, whether you do design, again, we have spaces for that. If you just want to yap about your OCs, man, I got that covered. So if you do want a space where you can enjoy sharing your art, interacting with other artists, please consider joining my Discord, the Interstellar Interspace. It's an amazing place. I love literally everybody in there. They're all such cool artists, and it's a fun time, man. I need to be more active because I know I've been slacking off a bit. Testing, dude, it's been hell, bro. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through these finals, but I'll try for you guys, okay? And also, you know, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe, please make sure to hype, please make sure to like, or whatever you, dude, I can never do that. I think I've always ended off of my videos saying like, I can never do that ending, because I quite literally can never do that ending. It's always so weird, like, I'm just like, God, like, insert that one Squidward begging meme, oh my God. I mean, if you did enjoy this video, you know, it'd mean the world to me if you did support. So, yeah, that's really all I had to say, right? Yeah, that's all I had to say. Bye!